Good morning, ARCA family. My name is Mr. Hanks. Chances are if you're watching this video, it's because you probably had to miss the day for whichever reason. We hope everything is going good for you. This is just an informative video, the first video going up on our YouTube channel. This is Lesson 5, Analyzing Louisiana State Constitution, and this is for Tuesday, September 10th. Yes, awesome. It is our last lesson. We're almost completely done with Unit 1, but first we have a primary resource. Remember those bullseyes, that's the important stuff you're probably going to see on LEAP. And today we're not looking at the federal government constitution, we're looking at the Louisiana State Constitution at the time. Alright, so our objective for the day, explain the origins and development of Louisiana public colleges, universities, including land-grant institutions, historically black colleges, and universities and regional universities. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look, get rolling through the lesson. You guys are going to go ahead, answer that bell ringer for us. How close do you believe the Louisiana State Constitution of 1898 was to the United States Constitution? So compare it. Compare it to the federal government constitution where we have so far up to 15 amendments, okay? Which I'm going to reference in a little bit too. So make sure you compare and contrast that real quick. Okay, moving on. We get to our reading, and that is the State Constitution of Louisiana of 1898. That is what is on the menu for today. And it is a long one, y'all. Just kidding. It's actually just this. Awesome. So this is our primary resource. Now, while analyzing this, because you have 3 questions, I'm going to come back to this. You have 3 questions to answer. That's your depth of knowledge questions. That is what you're going to answer from the excerpt. And we also want you to go ahead and fill out this primary resource, the content, the creation, the communication, the context, the connection, and the consideration. Okay? So as you're reading, keep all this in mind. Who, what, when, where, why, how. All those things while you're reading, okay? So let's go back to the reading real quick. Now, as you're reading the different sections from the Louisiana Constitution of 1898, I want you, as you read, kind of look at the limitations that the Louisiana state government was placing on a certain group of people, okay? So I'm not going to give you the answer because it's all in there. I want you to see some of the things that they were doing to kind of get people or prohibit people from doing something is a better term of speaking. So read each section, kind of see what's going on, who's being targeted, who's being hurt, and whose rights are being hurt. Because remember, that 14th Amendment under the United States Constitution, equal protection under the law. That means all your rights are guaranteed. In most lawsuits nowadays, the 14th Amendment is almost always invoked because someone's rights got maybe shortened, or maybe they were just infringed on completely. Those are things you have to take note of when you read this and stuff like that. Okay, so once you read through that document, answer those 3 questions, and have your primary source analysis, you got the chunk out the way for today's lesson. So, on the document. So don't forget, you are completing this here. If you type in, all of this has text boxes, or you can add your own text boxes. It's fully creative. Just make sure that you fill everything out. All you have to do is click in, and it will allow you to do that right now. Okay,
Where do we find that presentation, Mr. Hanks?
Right now in Schoology, it is the tail end. That is the Unit 1, Chapter 2 presentation, which we're almost done with. Good. All right, roll Unit 2. You ready for that? Populism.
Gotta be popular.
Skip the conclusion. Don't need that for the day. And we're not going to take a look at the framework question. Today we really just want to focus on this far exit ticket. How was the Louisiana Constitution changing? No constitution ever stays the same. There's always an evolving debate of what matters in personal values in our country. We are not the same country we were over 100 years ago, and we're still changing to this day. Every day is a new step forward and hopefully a better direction. So I just want to know, from what we started to 1898, where are we at with the Louisiana Constitution? Please make sure you post a piece of evidence from the text, from that reading, and I want you to explain it. Don't just put your evidence. We don't know what you're talking about. You have to show your work. You have to explain. Okay? Just a few quick notes before I let you go for the day. Do not forget that since today is Tuesday, the 10th of September, tomorrow and the next few days of the week, it's gonna be pretty rough because we have a couple of masteries coming up. We're not only done with a chapter, we are done with a unit. So what's coming up, and I can show y'all right here, hopefully I can explain it to y'all. This is the bonus slide, we call it, but we're taking it as an extended response. This is going to be for Wednesday the 11th. So write a short answer to the framing question. How did African Americans navigate the challenges of the post-Reconstruction era, and what methods did they use to fight for Reconstruction? So I'm going to make that an extended response in my class. I'm pretty sure all the other classes are going to do at least 2 paragraphs to answer and get that on lock, because I want to know, with Unit 1, Chapter 1, we saw the Native Americans plight in our country. Now what are the African Americans going through around the same time? So that is going to be for Wednesday. That is a mastery and extended response. Thursday coming up, it is time to prepare for your test, because that is going to be Thursday the 12th next week. It's raining outside, I'm getting soaked out there. And Friday is a Unit 1 performance task where we're going to ask you to combine both chapters into one. I want to compare and contrast the plight of the Native Americans and the plight of the African Americans. Now, what does that mean? It just means simply, hey, what were they going through? What were they going through? What were they going through the same? How were they going about fighting it? And what were they doing? Were they selling? Were they giving in? Were they fighting? Tell me how they ended up going. That's what we're going to be looking for in that performance test. Now, don't forget, in the extended response, going back to the Wednesday, we do require you to use at least 2 of our vocabulary words from the word wall, and that is political disenfranchisement, the deprivation, or what I like to say, the prevention of the right to vote for a certain group of people. And of course, we know that was the African American community. What were they doing to politically disenfranchise an entire race during elections and stuff? An accommodationist, one who compromises or adopts the attitude of someone else. Similarly, like when we talked about Booker T. Washington. No, not Booker T. the wrestler. That's Booker T. Washington. All right, what was his goals? Why was he different in his aspect from W.E.B. Du Bois? We'll cover that in class as well. Lynching, the killing of a person by a mob, mostly by hanging. You got to remember, most lynchings were not court sanctioned. These were probably innocent to guilty. You don't know where they were. It was a mob of people that took the law into their own hands and personally went and persecuted people that they deemed guilty without their right to a fair trial, jury, judge, and a lawyer. So remember those things. A suffragist, we talked about Mary Terrell, a person who supports extending the right to vote to a group of people. And in her case, especially African American women, trying to help women get the right to vote. And we'll see that a little bit later in the 1920s when that comes to fruition. So good. Well, if we don't have any other things to say, I think this is a good summary for the week. I think we're good. Please study. We'll probably be posting a study guide in the next few days as well. So make sure you're studying, keeping up with the work, and make sure everything is done. I hope you feel better. I hope everything is going okay. Remember, the ARCA way, growing strong minds and hearts each and every day, and that's what we're here to do. Your success is our success. Thank you very much. Good night.
Also, guys, Mr. Hanks kind of closed it out, but if you have been out longer than you have for these vocabularies, please make sure to document that you have these things down. They're in the chapter as well, so if you've been out longer than, like some of my class, we've only gotten through some of these vocabulary words because we've had all these different hiccups. So please make sure you're documenting this up, being aware of it. These are the areas where you can support your claims through evidence. So if we ask you something of a writing prompt, like we had before, will we do it? We don't know. We're not quite deciding that yet, but if you were, the pitfall that a lot of people would say was they fell into what we had on the test, which was not quite supporting the argument that you needed. So you need to remember these things. You need to not just remember them, be able to understand and be able to argue those cases, so that you can support your evidence that you or support your arguments, with evidence a lot better. All right, y'all, and don't forget, as Mr. Fred always says, we have a great day and no one ever injures their eyesight by looking on the bright side. Peace out, homies.